Hello, Abnormal Investigations. I've got another encounter for you guys. I hope you enjoyed the live we done over the gentleman that alleged to be a vampire. It was a pretty interesting live, I thought. I'm getting a lot of questions over it. Alright, guys, I got one for you out of Australia, so let's go ahead and jump into it. I would like to start by telling you a bit about myself. I live in New South Wales, Australia. My encounter took place in October 2014 when I was just 16 years old, in my last year of primary school. For our school camp this year, we spent 2 days at the Mogo Gold Rush Colony, an old preserved gold rush colony from this time of the gold rush in Australia. The colony is located a few miles south of Bateman's Bay and is surrounded by the bush. The bus ride was fun but taxing, as we lived in Wollongong, which is nearly 3 hours north of Bateman's Bay. When we finally arrived late in the afternoon, they sorted us into our cabins. My friends and I were put in the cabin closest to the tree line and bridge leading from the living quarters to the caravan park to the colony itself. My friend Brody, Liam, Lachlan, David, and Cohen had packed our PSPs, board games, and David brought his small pinball machine. We were all stoked upon the sweets and snacks and planned to stay up late that night, having fun. After dinner, we were made to sit with our formal partner and listen to the local Aboriginal elder named Sam. He told us many things, including the British impact on the Aboriginals and the area, and that they brought troubles of their own with them. He then asked if we liked scary stories, and everyone excitedly yelled yes. Sam told us that the Aborigines had many creatures from their stories they believed in, such as the Bunyip and the Yowie. His face grew dark and grim before saying that the British brought monsters of their own with them, including the European werewolf. One boy laughed and said werewolves weren't real. They're just cool myths made up by movie makers. The old man looked over at the boy and said, "I pray you never meet one yourself." As cliché and silly as he sounded, he looked serious and concerned, which only made me feel a little bit unsettled. We were told to go to the cabins to unwind. It took many of us a little while to do so, but soon it was just us. One of the teachers, Miss R, had come down because Liam had broken a light bulb by accident, so she had to take him back to stay with the teachers. At around 1 a.m., it began pelting down rain. Lachlan was still crying due to the homesickness. David was playing his PSP with his headphones in, and Cohen and I were talking. I needed to get to the toilet, and as I stood there, I heard Lachlan scream at the window, "Some dog is looking at us." I glanced out at the window and to the side of the cabin and saw a huge black beast covered in fur. It appeared to be squatting on 2 legs with long, bony fingers that ended in claws, and the length of its nails were so scary looking. The beast had a semi-muscular build and the head of a dog, but there was something wrong with it. It had the maw of a wolf and the small ears on its head, its shaggy mane and wet black nose dripping from the downpour outside. It had placed one of its hands on the window. It was looking into and scratched down the glass with those claws. It appeared to have a mischievous look on its face, enjoying the fear it was getting from Lachlan. Almost a smile. I began to slowly close the shutter of the bathroom window, while not only my eyes and not taking my eyes off of the beast. However, the blinds made me surprisingly scared because they made a loud squeak as I closed them. I was afraid it would jolt or get the beast upset. Once the beast turned to face me, I wished I hadn't done that. The beast stared at me, and I got a great look at its face. Its eyes were bright amber, glowing like the embers of a fire. It slowly began to bare its teeth. At the time, it was so sinister looking. The snarl, the saliva, and the rain dripping from its face exposed mouth. It let out a long, low growl, so deep I could feel it reverberate in my chest. I was completely frozen with fear, and I could feel myself lost in its eyes. Its gaze was full of hate and rage, but I felt a strange sense of curiosity. I wanted to see what it would do next, even if it tried to get me. The beast then ran, its long razor-like claws down the side of the wooden wall of the cabin. All the while it didn't break eye contact with me. I could see the black claws glistening in the rain and the light from the gazebo. Then I saw a flashlight bobbing behind it. The teachers must have heard Lachlan screaming because all of them came down. The beast glared angrily in their direction. Before giving me one last look, it almost appeared to grin at me with those sinister teeth. It then got down on all fours and ran off into the woods at an alarming speed, kicking up bark chips everywhere. I raced to the window. It was then that I watched the beast bound toward the colony and over the bridge, all while it kicked up dirt and grass behind it. This thing moved super fast. David had been playing his PSP with his headphones in and hadn't heard or seen any of this. Brody stayed on the bottom bunk, choosing to stay put, as Cohen stayed in his bunk. Lachlan was now sobbing hysterically at this point. The teachers unlocked the door and burst in, and Lachlan kept saying there was a monster at the window. But Miss Chapman didn't believe him. She turned to me and asked, "Did you see the monster?" I pointed at the scratches on the window without saying a word and moved past her to climb into my bunk. She then said she'd find the little troublemaker who did this, to which I replied, "Good luck." She clearly couldn't see the side of the width of the scratches and refused to believe that something had did that. Most of my friends managed to fall asleep, even Lachlan, but I lay there wondering if it'll be back and what it wanted. I then closed the shutter to the window above my head and soon drifted off to sleep. I woke up last having slept through a lot. Liam had come back and was being rowdy with messing about with David. David was chasing him up and down the cabin, and nothing but an Iron Man mask and underpants, screaming like a maniac. David was quite out of shape, so you can imagine how absurd he looked. Lachlan, Brody, and Cohen were quiet. We didn't speak a word until we got changed for the day. That day we were taken on a tour of one of the mines that had been restored. David and I decided to split off from the group and explore the colony ourselves. As we wandered through the town, David couldn't help but wonder why there were claw marks on some of the walls of the old buildings. I knew what had left them from the previous night. We then decided to check out back of the barber, which was immediately backed by a thick forest. A foul odor filled our noses, and David said we should follow it to its source. I was reluctant but curious. What we saw actually made me vomit. In a clearing not too far from the barber's back lot was a mangled mess of what was once a kangaroo. Its belly had been torn into, and some of its entrails spilled out into the ground. It was the base of a large gum tree, and its back was broken. The most disturbing thing of all was it had no head, as if it had been messily ripped off. David asked, "What the hell was that? What could have done this?" I urged him to get out of there, and we did, rejoining the group. Later that morning we stopped at the Mogo Zoo, and shortly after we were on our way home. We didn't talk much about the ride on the bus. The past 2 nights had been very traumatic for some of us, and Liam and Brody remained skeptical. A few months passed, and I started high school. During that time I became obsessed with Skyrim, and when I did, the quest line where you become a werewolf, I felt uneasy and a little nauseous because the Skyrim werewolf on that game actually looked uncannily like the beast I had seen a few months prior. Isn't it weird how they put these in the movies and in the games? I recently told my dad about the incident, and he believes me. He once stayed down at grandparents' place as a boy, which conveniently happened to be in Moruya, 30 minutes south of that gold rush colony. He was sleeping in a granny flat under the house when him and my uncle woke up to what sounded like the tapping of steel on the glass. He then saw the beast with its head and face of a dog, wolf peeking at them, grinning at them with the same grin that I saw that rainy night. My advice to you is that there are many things in the woods that are not supposed to be there. Please be cautious and don't go to the Mogo Gold Rush colony seeking the beast. It's not worth the risk. It's there for sure, and I've seen it. These creatures do exist, and they are scarier than hell, the hell that they come from. Thank you, Mike, for sharing my encounter. A lot of things in your encounter that really caught my attention was the grin. So many people mentioned that grin. Even my friend mentioned that grin, that went behind my granny's house. He said it looked sideways at him, it grinned, and then it said, "Hello," best it could, in like an animal voice. And then it's the kangaroo missing the head. A lot of things are always missing the head. I've noticed this, and unfortunately, it's true in some of the children I've covered have also, you know, their head being removed and certain parts of their body being removed and never found. Is it trophies or is it something that they like to eat the most? It makes you wonder, what is the reasoning for it? There's so many different things that pop into my head about this story. That you talked about the black fur, everybody says they're black, the way it looked at you. Even you all being in that camp kind of reminded me of the Girl Scout camp. It seems that they love to be where the children are, and so many things resonate with that. What do you guys think? So many red flags in this story that just really make you think. Don't forget, guys, on the 12th, we got the Wolf Lady going to be on live at 8:30, the 12th, 8:30 p.m. Central Time. Don't miss that one. She's going to share some of her encounters and things that she's had to live through in the hills of the Cherokees, where the Cherokee practices are still happening. They're still very prominent. Should be a very good interview, guys. Thank you all so much for listening. Until next time, keep your head on a swivel. Don't be something's dinner. And we'll see you on the next one. God bless.
I can